Hello, everybody. I just got back from seeing Fantastic Four, so I thought I'd give a little review, similar to how I did for Superman. So, if you haven't seen Superman, check that video out. But today we're going to talk about Fantastic Four. We're going to start with a non-spoiler review, and then we're going to move to the spoiler review. So, let's just spitball, as I usually do, to tell you my thoughts on the movie. I think overall, it's an incredibly good movie. I think for me, it is a 4 out of 5 stars. A solid 8 out of 10. I think for a superhero movie, it was the right kind of bright, the right kind of dark, the right kind of tone that superhero movies should be. I've noticed that, especially with Superman and Fantastic Four, the movies have felt like comic books, and like I'm not a big comic. I don't read comics. I'm not like a nerd. As the guy who's seen every superhero movie, but I do care that when you move something from one medium to the next, that shouldn't completely tone shift the media. And unfortunately, after watching so many MCU movies, after watching the shitty Snyder bullshit, I can definitively say that I think Superman and Fantastic Four are going in a way that hasn't felt super, like, I don't know how to describe it. Superhero movies haven't felt right, and these two have felt more right than anything I've experienced so far. I don't know what to say about them. Like, I want to definitively say I think Superman. We're going to be comparing Superman here because Superman's the most recent superhero movie in adjacency to Fantastic Four. So I'm going to be discussing Superman comparisons every now and again. That's my bad. Forgive me. Oh my Jesus Christ! Get some sleep. Anyway. Fantastic Four, pretty good movie. I agree with the complaints that a lot of people have had, where it feels like they cut a shit ton out of the movie. Like, this is a spoiler, non-spoiler, right? This isn't really a spoiler, but like, if you want to go in completely blind, I would skip ahead like 20 seconds. But like, I'm gonna be very, very general. I'm gonna be very general about this. There is a point in the movie where Sue Storm is talking to a character, and they're like, "I need you to do this." This character isn't the type to, like, it doesn't seem like the type to immediately jump to doing the action she asks to do to do the thing. But she's like, "I need you to do this thing," and then immediately cuts to the thing being done. And it's happened several times throughout the movie. Like, it's thrown me off. Like, it feels like they were gonna, like, do something, and they were gonna show, like, the discourse. And I'll get into this more later for the spoiler part of the review, but like, there's a part of me that really enjoys how we get straight to things getting done. But it also feels like if this were like a 3-hour-long movie, and they went more into depth about certain actions, more character relation, it would have been a better movie overall, but also would have been longer. So I don't know. I don't know the trade-off. We don't live in the universe with a 3-hour Fantastic Four movie. But overall, I think the visuals were beautiful. I think the character interactions were really good, and I wish for more of them and more interchanging character dynamics. I think all the acting in the movie was pretty solid. I didn't dislike anyone's acting, and I think Galactus, which they show him from the trailers, so he's there, was the right amount of intimidating. Yeah, overall, pretty solid. Like, genuinely, like, I didn't have a bad time with the movie. I do want to point out, similar to Superman, I saw this in the shaky ass chairs, the 4D chairs, and I also was watching this in 3D because the best timing for my schedule was in 3D. Which I want to go on a side tangent about. 3D movies kind of suck. They're kind of bad. like 3D movies, they used to put you the red and blue goggles on, and like your vision would be ruined for like a day, right? But nowadays, they like blur your vision more, and they also are like sunglasses, so everything just goes dark. And I did not like the way it made the movie look. There were certain scenes that were really cool with it, and really cool with the shaky chair. But overall, the 3D I felt like made it a worse movie. Maybe when I watch it on a repeat, I'll like it more when I can actually see things. But that was just my thoughts on that, and that's just a side tangent. I think 3D movies fucking blow. I think it was a horrible idea. Either that or it's horribly executed. Are there any more things I could talk about in the unspoiled version? I don't know. I think I was just surprised that, like, I ended up liking all 4 of the Fantastic Four pretty well. I liked all of them a lot. Pedro Pascal proved he could be a good Reed Richards, so that's cool. And overall, I would say, if you are not, I will say, it's hard to say. So, like, Superman, if you go into that movie, you're not a big superhero head, you'll be fine. Like, who cares? You'll still enjoy the movie, I think. Very enjoyable. Fantastic Four, I think, is a movie that you have to like superhero movies at least a little bit. Superman really didn't feel like that. I mean, it's a superhero movie, right? But it still felt like audiences of all types could enjoy it. Fantastic Four felt like you kind of had to be a superhero head to enjoy it to its fullest. So, I mean, maybe that's an upside, maybe that's a downside, but I just wanted to point that out for those who might be interested. So now we're going to move on to the spoiler part of the video. This is where you would leave me and move on to go watch the movie, or not, because who gives a shit? Movies don't matter, nothing matters. Go get some food. On to the spoiler review. I think there was a lot of interesting things they did throughout the movie that I can't tell if I liked or not. I think the Silver Surfer was she did a great job, but I felt like they cut out all of her scenes. There's a part at the end, that's in the last hour of the movie. Johnny's like, here's your trauma to try to turn you to the good side. Remember when you were a human? She looks at that, she has a moment, she vanishes for the entire rest of the movie. Galactus is like literally fucking peeking out of a wormhole. Where'd she go? There's not even a scene where she realizes that she's gonna help. There's no like there's one singular moment after she hears the Johnny convincing, where she's like, okay, staring off at the moon or whatever. But like she doesn't actually, you don't see anything. You don't get to know. Like you probably are gonna guess she's gonna come back in some way, but like you don't get to see any of her. I think we saw a very appropriate amount of Galactus. I like how he was threatening, scary, and every time he was on screen, I like how imposing he was, even though they could like kind of tickle him. All that for a drop of blood type beat. But I don't know. There's a part of me that kind of wanted to see big fuck-ass Galactus and watch him out the planet, you know? But also, another part of me is like, how would they fight that? So they kind of had to scale him down. I feel like studios are scared to make full-size Galactus, because how do you fight that without being in a comic? I thought, as much as the Galactus scenes were cool and all, there wasn't a lot of fighting scenes. There was like, the best way to put it is that it felt like a slice of life movie. Which, if you don't know what slice of life is, it's basically just like if you put a camera in somebody's like apartment, you just watch them walk around. That's what the whole movie felt like. Which I mean, granted, it's their Fantastic Four's first movie. It's good to get used to the characters, learn their interactions. It's not so much of an origin story for them as much as it is an origin story for us meeting them, which is important for like how the movie is structured. However, there is like 2, maybe 3 fights throughout the whole movie. There's like the speed run of fights that we see at the very beginning, and I feel like this is part of the cut scenes thing. We didn't really just get to see what the Fantastic Four can do. I would say the thing does literally fucking nothing. Like Reed can barely do things as it is. He's just a big stretchy man, but the Thing is like the big bulky strong man of the group, and like for the most part, he does nothing. Like there's a trailer shot, right, of him bursting through a bunch of pillars, and in the movie, we figure out he was breaking these pillars because Galactus was using a building as a foothold to avoid getting pushed by Sue Storm. What I thought was going to happen was when Galactus was holding on to that building, the Thing was going to fucking him down and make him fall over. But instead, he just knocks a building over. Like, I know Thing isn't like supposed to be like Hulk strong, but I know he's pretty strong. Maybe it's supposed to establish he's not like super strong, but he was enough to go through fucking stone pillars completely. But besides that, we don't get to see too much Thing. He gets thrown at Galactus, which kind of hurts Galactus a little bit, but then he hits the ground like a fucking boulder and just lays there. I don't know. I feel like they underpowered Thing, or at least like did not let him fucking shine as much as they did others. Johnny was... They gave a lot of shine to Johnny throughout this movie. I feel like they focused hard on Johnny, which is weird because the only other main focus of the 4 was on Franklin. So that's my thoughts on that. I think that overall, I think they focused heavily on Johnny without focusing too much on like the Thing. And as much as I like the interactions between Reed and Sue, we don't really get to see too much of Sue besides like my baby Franklin and my husband Reed. No, does she have any character traits in the movie besides those 2? It didn't really feel like it. I don't know. I do feel like Reed and Johnny were like the standouts. I think they were like acted the best. I feel like they did the best job they could do for their characters. Overall, like their parts a lot. In particular, Johnny's whole like side arc of like discovering the language and learning to speak it specifically to figure out what she was saying was really important and really cool. And they tried to do something similar with Thing and his side quest of like rizzing this woman, which is cool, but he gets 3 scenes with her that felt pointless. Because I guess it's supposed to humanize him, but we already get humanizing moments with him. I didn't really understand. Like, it felt like a plot thread that didn't really follow up on or like continue in a way that felt meaningful. What else is there? I feel like the post-credit scene, both the post-credit scenes. I don't know if I like the trend of the silly post-credit scene. All right, I get it. It's funny. Haha. You wasted your time. You're just having the credits. Isn't it so cool? But like, I would rather them make non-essential little scenes that are maybe more silly leaning, but like they kind of like let the character breathe a little. A good example is the Superman post-credit scene. There's one of them. I'm not going to describe because I don't want you to spoil you on Superman. There's a moment he has with a different character and they talk back and forth and they kind of riff back and forth. That felt like it was a silly post-credit scene, but that still gave you more content. The post-credit scene in this one of like the cartoon that they kind of made for the show, or made for the movie, is like cool and all, but like, what did I feel at the end of that? I was just like, okay. I like the first post-credit scene a little bit. I think it does feel like it's leading too hard into Doomsday rather than leading softly into it. But especially because they're like 4 years. So I mean, we could have learned that in Doomsday that it takes place 4 years later. But I don't know. They both felt weird. Just weird post credits. But I think Marvel in general, post credit scene, post Endgame have all been kind of doo-doo ass. So I mean, I guess it's some of the better ones if that's the case. Any other thoughts I feel like I should share? The worst part of the movie is when the guy behind me started like clipping his nails halfway through the movie, and I wanted to turn around and fucking scream at them for whatever the hell that noise was. Trying to think. There's definitely a few other cool moments. There's definitely a lot of hype moments in Aura in the movie. Particularly just like Galactus walking. And like they're trying their best to just get around him and try to figure things out. It was such a cool scene. I liked it a lot. I also like how they subtly show Franklin's powers instead of relying upon him to be like the smoking gun of the fucking of the movie. I think, another thing I want to bring up, I think it's really cool. I was going to bring it up earlier in the non-spoiler review, but generally the feel of the Earth that it's put on is really fucking good. I really like the 60s, more joyful era. I like the world building of like the Baxter building. There's just a bunch of like stuff about the world that feels so nice and so enjoyable. Like, genuinely, if you saw the movie, which you should have if you're watching the spoiler section, or you just love hearing my voice, I'm just a podcast to you. The world just feels so nice to look at. It's what Superman felt like. It felt like I could envision myself being in this world instead of it being like gritty and too normal, you know? It was that nice combo of fake and real that felt like it fit so like naturally. One scene I want to bring up because I'm kind of just spitballing. I mentioned earlier in the non-spoiler review where like things are brought up and then immediately addressed. Like the Fantastic Four are like kind of like they're like superstars, right? But there's a moment in the movie where they're like, we need to put teleporters all over the globe so we can move the entire planet. And there's literally the next scene's like, and teleporters are being built all over the planet. There's a monumental effort, and within 36 hours of things being built. Dude. You ask like China or North Korea to build a giant fucking statue of something in their country, even if the world was ending, I feel like it would take 48 hours for them to respond. I don't know. Like, I get it's an alternate universe. I get it's like the 60s. Things are the same. But like, I don't know about all that. I feel like they did address that a little too quick. Maybe Sue Storm has got the golden tongue, and everything she says, everybody's just like, "Oh my god, I love that, Susan Storm." But yeah, it just felt like there were so many moments like that. Probably just a thing of the editing. How you get every country on Earth to agree to build your teleporters everywhere is crazy. How you convinced like the evil like mole man to help you, even though like I know they had like the treaty or whatever, but to help you in one scene, and then give no context for that scene was also kind of crazy. I don't know. It felt fast in good ways and fast in bad ways at the same time. And I think that led to the 4 out of 5-star rating. I don't know. I had a lot more specific complaints about this movie than Superman. I think that's why I ended up rambling on about those in particular, but that's my thoughts. I don't think there's any more I have to say. I like the little comic shout-outs. They're cool. Yeah. I'm interested to see where they go with the Fantastic Four. Not optimistic for Doomsday, but fuck it, we're here, right? Might as well see where we go. Hope you all enjoyed my review of Fantastic Four. Pretty decent movie. If you like superhero movies, let's see it in theaters. If not, wait for digital. Thumbs up, everybody. Hope you all enjoyed.